Hal here with more Space Engineers, and today we're going to do a little bit of an experiment with grid mass and lifting potential. So there's an interesting conversation going on in a couple of different places, like on the forum, Reddit, and a few other areas where people talk about the way that grid mass is calculated. So what I wanted to do is actually do a little bit of an experiment, because my understanding is that when you use a multiplier for your inventory system, what that does is it increases the capacity of the cargo, right? So if it would normally be able to hold 10,000, if you do it times 10, it would be able to hold 100,000 liters. So because of that, what happens is that with, again, this is my understanding, is that with increased cargo capacity, you then have increased mass for the amount of cargo that you can store in there. So if you would normally be able to put 1,000 units of ore into a cargo container at a times 10, you'd be able to put 100,000, thus increasing the mass equivalent. So if it would normally be effectively, because the normalization on the ore mass is now 1 unit of ore. 1 complete unit of ore is 1 kilogram. So if we're talking about 1,000 units of ore, it's going to add 1,000 kilograms to the mass of the grid. On a times 10 multiplier, you would be able to add 10 times the amount of ore in the same container or any other materials. And thus, the total mass of the grid should increase along the same lines. So what I wanted to do is we want to take a look at this. I'm going to show you really quickly here. All right, our current grid mass is 24,393. Nothing in the cargo container. And our little grinder ship here has 2 thrusters on it. It can fly just fine. So what we're going to do,
fuel critical,
is we're going to take one of these off. Let's take that thruster off. As you can tell, it's still able to maintain altitude. All right, so let's go in here. Let's look at our info. And our grid mass has decreased by roughly 3K. Sounds about right. Okay, now I am in creative mode, and what we're going to do is, just to make sure my understanding on everything is correct, we're going to spawn in some cobalt ore. Why? Because it's there. All right, and we're going to go, say, 5,000. All right. So our grid mass should increase by 5 kilograms, or 5,000 kilograms. As you can tell, we've got roughly 1/10 of the volume here. All right. So let's take a look at the info. So yes, it has increased 5K, which is what we were expecting. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to get this thing, if we just go ahead and load this up. I think it can hold around 47K currently. So if we do 50K, right? Ship can no longer support itself, which is kind of what we expected. We're gonna go ahead and put a second thruster in. Actually, yeah, I know it won't. I know it won't support itself, but if you really want, I'll do it again. But okay, so we can actually fly with two large thrusters on here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, hop out of here. We're not even going to connect it to the grid, because I don't want any of the random Space Engineers bugs to come into effect on this. But just to show you, we're at max capacity. It added just shy of, or just over 42,000 kilograms. And our grid mass actually reflects that. All right. So I'm going to pause this right here. we're going to reload with 10 times, with the container's cargo 10 times multiplier on there, and see if we can get it to the point where the vehicle can't fly on just those 2 thrusters. All right. So we'll do a quick cut, and I will be right back. Okay, so we're back. The only change I made was to make cargo containers times 10. Just to confirm that really quick, we'll hop in here, large cargo container, go to ship. So no change in mass. Our large cargo container still has the 42, just shy of 42,230 at 15K, right? So let's get in here. Now, what the comments have been is that when you have a multiplier turned on, the total mass of the cargo container and the contents in the container are divided by that. So you keep the same thrust to lift ratio on the vehicle. Now, my understanding is the exact opposite of this. When you have a multiplier turned on, it increases the cargo capacity, which means that the mass will increase in line with the multiplier. So if we then say, because we know that, you know, roughly, what is that, 43K, 42.2. So if we do 42,230, let's see what happens. All right. So we said 42,230, and we're going to do cobalt ore again. Spawn into the target container. All right. So now if we do, you're still up there, right? Okay. So now if we do it again, it's still hanging in. Okay. So now, can we overpower this is the question. It's still in the air. Still in the air. Oh. All right. Let's see. All right. And it's still in the air. Okay, so that just shows that no matter how long you've been playing this game, you can be wrong. That is a really interesting change on the way that it used to be, because it used to be that your ship mass, like the actual grid mass, had to go, the newtons of thrust had to overcome the mass of the ship. And so what it looks like, they have simplified that system. So, all right. So this is going to be a short one. So that's a really interesting change, because like I said, you know, in the older days of space engineers, we used to have to look at how much mass you had. And I'm wondering if it's part of the process because of the way that they've simplified so much of the physics. But it's good to know. On the plus side, it means my roughly 1.5 large thrusters per large container still apply. Huh. That gives me some ideas for new designs, though. All right. So, anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all for stopping and hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, it never hurts to double check things. And if you think that somebody's doing something wrong, specifically me, please call it out in the comment section. It's because these types of this type of feedback that I get from everybody really pushes me to come in and take a look at what's changed in the engine and do these types of experiments. So if there's things you want to see done, let me know. Because like I said, I never have a problem with saying, hey, you know what? You're right. I was wrong. I screwed up. And now we can address this moving forward. It makes it more fun for everybody. So Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Enjoy your week, and we will see you back here on probably Friday for another episode. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody. That does give me some very, very interesting build ideas then.